We're recording.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, welcome to our introductory podcast. We're calling this Easy to Be Around.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty easy to be around, casual dudes.
I think you're easier to be around than me, actually.
Yeah?
I think I have a tendency to get a little too aggro and passionate sometimes.
Oh, okay.
That's just me, but hey, that's why we're doing this though, right? So we can figure out, we can present to people who we are, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe I was more aggro when I was drinking.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe I've tempered my steel.
I don't think I've ever seen you angry. I've seen you angry once, actually. But,
Yeah?
I'll save that for your interview.
Okay. Yeah, well, sweet. We're just kind of, I don't know, go over a few topics, a few different things to kind of give a background of maybe kind of who we are and why we're doing what we're doing.
Sounds good, man.
I guess the natural place to start would be where you started, where you come from in your childhood, what type of family life you had.
Yeah, I didn't have the worst family life ever. I'm a child of divorce, it wasn't. I don't know. My brain hadn't really kind of clicked at all what was really going on.
Okay.
A lot of stuff happened with my childhood when it came to my mom had me at a very young age. She was 17 when she had me, and
that's pretty young.
It's pretty dang young.
Even by Utah standards, that's young.
Even by Utah standards, yeah.
Which have a very skewed standard.
Yeah, well, anything that's normal in the world, just take Utah and just scale it down a bit.
Scale down or up. It's either, the troughs and valleys are like spikes and death valleys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But no, my mom was a great mom, and all of the fatherly figures in my life are great people.
Fatherly figures.
Yeah. So my mom, God, I hope she doesn't listen to this. She'll probably yell at me, but whatever. She remarried twice. I have a biological dad, a first stepdad, and a second stepdad. All three of them were incredibly influential to me in very different ways. And then, of course, I have to mention my grandpa, who taught me a lot how to be a functioning human.
Yeah, super dad.
Yeah, super dad. Yeah, but how not to be a jackass. And then my uncle was always kind of there, and he's initially what kind of got me into music and video games and everything. All the time I've wasted playing video games it has been attributed to my uncle. Hope you're listening. Love you, Mikey.
Good job, Mikey.
Yeah,
we're glad Zach plays video games.
Yeah, but no, it was I think I struggled with my childhood more when I hit late teens, hitting college, than I did when I was a kid, because I think I was just kind of oblivious to it.
It was weirder in hindsight.
In hindsight, my something big happened between my family and my dad at a very young age. And I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible because it's quite a long story, but something big happened that was very critical. And at the time I was seeing my biological dad and my mom, and I love them both. They don't like each other, kind of a thing. And I didn't want to know about what happened because I didn't want any of them to be painted in a bad light. So for the longest time, I kindly requested that everyone around me, don't tell me what happened. Don't tell me what happened. Don't tell me what happened. And they honored it. Everyone was really fucking super cool about it. And they kind of kept me in the dark on this big thing that happened. I eventually found out, and maybe I'll go further into detail about it later. I just don't think it's time or place.
Yeah.
I eventually found out in the weirdest fucking way. And I'll actually just tell the story, but I won't give the information of what actually happened.
Okay.
So I was
this happened. Trailer.
Yeah, a trailer of something we'll talk about on a future podcast.
Sweet.
But I was I used to live at this across the street from the Sinclair, this gas station, and I was stopping after work to pick up a 6-pack of beer. And then the guy, this is 4 years ago, and the guy asked for my ID, and I handed it to him. My full name is Zachary Michael Reynolds, and handed it to him, and the guy's like, Zachary Michael Reynolds. I used to know a Michael Reynolds. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's probably my dad and everything. Yeah, it was about 29, 30 years ago. Oh, you worked at Kennecott Copper Mine. I'm like, yep, that's my dad. He worked at Kennecott Copper Mine. And then this guy starts vomiting out everything that happened. Me being in the dark for like
The gas station guy.
this random gas station guy, and he starts going to like, he went through an altercation with a child, and my wife actually knew about it because my sister told her. Like everyone in my family knew but me. And so I get back and I'm like white as a ghost, and I like crack open the beer I just bought, and I'm like, Christina, did something happen between my dad and my mom? And she was like, holy shit, how'd you find that out? And I told her a story. And yeah, so that's how I found out. And to this day, like, it's mostly known that I do. Now the world knows because everybody knows that I know. But if my parents listen to it or not, love you guys, regardless.
Sweet.
Yeah, so, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I felt like I was dealing with it more in my later age. And I don't think I really realized I had a complex about anything until I hit like 19 or 20. Really. Yeah. And I'm fine. Like, and I'm perfectly fine. I went and saw a therapist for a while, and we're not recording on this. We're recording on this. Sorry. Just to make sure, checking. Yep, we're recording on this. So
I just didn't see anything going on over there.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, so and I told the therapist the entire story of like in college, even with like my, I thought my dad was dead for the longest time.
That's wild.
I'm like working at Smith's at 16, and all of a sudden like this guy shows up and he's like, hey, do you know who I am? And I'm like, I don't fucking know who you are. And
it's like a more extreme version of he went and got the smokes.
Yeah, it's like reverse he got the smokes kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He just got lost along the way and got to the Smiths.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But he wasn't dead.
He wasn't, no. And then I ended up seeing him for a bit and then like hanging out with him, and he's a really cool dude and we get along great, and I chat with him as much as I can. And yeah, I think that's kind of like the beginning of like when I started thinking a little different than most people.
Okay, yeah. It altered you realized you had an altered perception.
Yeah. And I grew up as a like a Catholic in an LDS community.
Oh.
Yeah, so there was just a lot going on with, growing up at the ages, because back in the early 2000s, I don't know if you're like 37, 36.
36.
You're 36,
yeah.
And I'm 3 years younger than you, but so you'll know that like I feel like in the early 2000s and by the way, just a prerequisite, I'm not knocking the church in any way. I love many people who are part of the church and everything. This is not me knocking it. It's just me telling a story of how I perceived it as a 16-year-old kid. Like there's just like a lot of this thing, like kind of disingenuous friendships that was happening.
Yeah.
Like where you like, case in point, I'd start dating a girl like 17, and then she'd dump me like 3 weeks later. And wouldn't tell me, and the actual reality was because her parents didn't want her to date outside the faith.
Oh, yeah, I'm all too familiar with that.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, big time.
But, so, what I, like, it just, like, so as a kid, like, when you're 16, you're most impressionable, and then you start kind of thinking, like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, 16 is really formative, and, like, shit that happens in those spots sticks.
Yeah, and it sticks with you. Like even this day, I could say I'm over it, but I can definitely not say it didn't affect me in some way or change my perspective in some way.
It'd be weird if it didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so and so all through high school, I was actually a pretty popular kid in high school. Like I was president of theater and drama and everything, and grew up in a pretty awesome household. Like. But at the same time, I was consistently living with anxiety and this constant thing that there's something wrong with me. And I didn't actually 100% fully feel welcome until I hit college, when I took my theater classes and became friends with pretty much some of the only people I still talk to today in college.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with 99% of my friends in college.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Kind
of an ever family kind of a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, after college, shortly after that, I assume, is when I met you at Squatters?
Right after.
Right after.
So I was about 22 when I finally didn't graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't finish. Like I went for 3 years and never got a degree. But yeah, I moved in with a girl and got my first restaurant gig at ever at Squatters. And I remember my interview that day. You remember Heather Lee?
I still see Heather Lee once in a while.
Yeah, like
She's
Heather
still
Lee.
great.
Shout out to you, Heather. Love you. This was my literal interview and how it went. She's like, I didn't have a resume. I didn't know what a fucking resume was or how to use one.
Yeah.
I'd never been. I walked in and I was just like, I need a job. And they're like, we're not hiring. I'm like, cool, here's my number.
Did you like write it on a napkin?
I wrote it like on a fucking piece of paper. Put Zach Reynolds and they like file, and I got a call.
That's kind of how they used to do it. That might have been preferred by them at the time.
Oh yeah, back then when that company was rad. I mean, oh shit. Sorry guys. Yeah, so I get into the interview and Heather like is going through the motions like, so why should I hire you? And I was like up to my eyes in debt at that point. I was about to have to pay rent in like 3 weeks. And I like leaned forward to her. I'm like, look, I have no money. I'm shit you not. I'm not lying. Like, no money. I've never worked in a restaurant, but I'll do anything. I will wash dishes. I will do anything. I'm down to my last ramen noodles package right now. So please just hire me, please.
I didn't know it's a dire straits.
I was like when I first started, yeah. I was fresh out of college and never held down a job. Like I held down a job in college, but it was like college work, like building sets and stuff.
Yeah.
For the school. I worked at Little Caesars for a brief stint.
Training jobs.
Yeah. Training yourself how to be a hard worker. And even when I started at Squatters, I wasn't the hardest worker, like out the gates.
You were better than a lot of people, I remember. I was pretty good at that job.
You were really good at that job. And you were one of the few people that were like actually super nice to me at that job. Like I can't even remember what the first words you actually said to me. I remember like there's a running joke, like, and the people who've seen our bridge rating video at this point, like we're rating it in chickens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a throwback to like some of the first conversations we had where
it was always those Sunday brunches when we would like show up half drunk from the night before. Like, it wasn't morning drink. It was just that like we drank till 4.
Yeah.
And we opened at like 10. So it's like.
So we were all hungover.
Yeah. Yeah. The hangovers start creeping in at like noon. Those beginning opening moments were like fucking wild.
Oh God. And I think you came up to me and you're like, there's like, God, table 13's being real chicken fuckers.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would say.
And then I was like, yeah, they're a real bag of dicks. And then we started calling each other chicken fucker and bag of dicks for the longest time.
Yeah, that was just our basic little nickname.
I was like super young and super new to restaurants, and like there's like a handful of people there that really kind of took me under the wing. You were among them. Yeah. Juve was really chill to me.
Dude, Juve is so legit.
He's so dope, and I'm so stoked that he's doing great right now.
Yeah, he's really killing
it. You remember Andy when he worked there?
I remember Andy, yeah.
Yeah, the bald beard.
Yeah,
that guy was super rad to me.
I liked Andy.
Jessica Means, and those are like...
A lot of people had problems with Andy. I
thought he was rad.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember when he broke the POS that one day. Were you there for that?
Oh, he had some rage issues.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He was angry.
Some people joke about it, but are like, oh, yeah, I have problems controlling my anger. Like, Andy was like...
Straight up.
Shoot a mall up if he had the chance.
No, I don't think he'd actually do that.
He would shoot them all up, but I mean, like, he would explode. Like,
yeah.
He broke one of the computers.
He was like the true.
Punched it.
Yeah, I was there. I was right next to him when he did it. And like, I wrote this entire like letter so he wouldn't get fired, like hoping it would save him because I liked the guy and everything. Yeah. And he ended up keeping his job, and I think he's like working in tech right now.
That makes sense. Yeah. He was always a really bright guy.
Yeah, super smart. But yeah, so yeah, and then I worked there for probably about a year, and I think, God, one of the worst times was like, I'm not to like reverse it on you or anything like that, but like the day that they decided to let you go, I was royally pissed off that day.
I think a lot of people were, but I mean, that was my own grave.
Yeah, I mean,
I did that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on your side of things,
definitely.
But no, and that's how we met. And to be honest with you, like throughout our entire relationship, we would see each other around downtown, and that's about it. And up until recently, we started like actually hanging out.
Yeah.
And But every time I saw you or we bumped into each other, I'd literally probably I would drop everything I was doing and be like, I'm gonna fucking hang out with Pete. I haven't seen this guy. And then I think it was like a month ago, we finally dawned. It's like, why are we hanging out more?
Yeah.
It's just life, you know. But
man, I think quarantine kind of slowed everything down and like, I don't know, realized where you want to put your priorities when you take everything away. It's like, what do you want to add to it?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I totally want to like chill with Zach and make weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we are like really, really similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. We have the same sense of humor and the same, I don't know, understanding of things. I'd like to think like,
yeah, like a comically cynical.
Get it? You know, we can take a joke. Both big fans of like absurdism. You know,
Definitely.
Like, and I've loved. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I consistently, it's a bad habit of mine. I consistently get, but it's kind of how I get better at things. I'm kind of very negative on myself quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's I over growing up from being a kid. Like I used to have this teacher who she was amazing and it was always positive reinforcement and everything.
Yeah.
Never really kind of had a desire to improve when I got complimented.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this other teacher. That guy was a piece of shit. He like I'm definitely the type of guy that like if you tell me I can't do something, I'll be like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And
I'll prove you wrong.
And that's so I feed off of kind of like I don't know. Is that healthy? Probably not. But maybe I don't know.
They can be.
Yeah.
They both have their strengths and weaknesses, negative and positive reinforcement.
Yeah. You know, it's I don't know. Like I've never really opened up about that. So yeah. But so I kind of knocked myself. Where was I going with this line of thought? Where was I? With comedy. So comedy. Like I've never considered myself really a naturally funny guy. Like I always felt like there's this awesome story that's always resonated with me. There's Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
And Gene Hackman was the kind of actor who always had to really work extra hard and study his lines extra hard and study the ins and outs of acting to really kind of get results. And Dustin Hoffman was kind of like the naturally talented guy. And
he is really good.
Yeah, he's super good. And so is Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
But they just had to get there different ways. And I always considered myself in the category of not naturally funny, just kind of the one that had to work and study and work hard and get there.
You're Gene, not a Dustin.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how we met.
That was a while ago.
Oh, 10 years? 10 years? Yeah, 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 22. Yeah, 11 years ago. Wow. Yeah.
11 years is a long time.
Yeah.
It's a third of your life.
Damn. That's weird to think about.
Yeah.
That
is a long time.
Fuck. Man.
A third, man.
A third, and like, I don't know. That's like it, and kind of, I don't know, like, and most of it, like, I've always been like a creative type and everything, but I never had like the resources or the know-how to like actually make things. Like, because when you're an actor, you're just like, oh, look at me, I'm an actor, and then you just get cast in things, or you don't get cast in things, and
it definitely feels like actors are more like tools.
Yeah, they're marionettes for sure.
Yeah. They definitely, I think they interject a lot of creativity into a project, but the true creatives lie in the writing and the production and the direction.
Yeah.
And the actors and like the camera work, those are tools to get that vision across.
Yeah.
Where that was the story being told.
Yeah, and so through my early mid-20s, all I knew how to do was act. Like, I didn't know anything with camera work. I didn't know.
I always thought that was so cool when you were at Squires, and I was like, yeah, dude, I got an actor friend.
Yeah, yeah, and it but I was like, the most work I did was college shit at that point. It was like plays and stuff, and the occasional short film. I'd weasel my way. I was in a few Trent Harris films I'm sure you know who Trent. Do you know who Trent? He's like a local Utah filmmaker. He's kind of a celebrity. And there's one that I was in. At that time when I was at Squatters, I answered a radio ad on X96 and they needed an actor, and the role was simple. They didn't explain it on the radio. The role was simple. I showed up at Blue Plate Diner, never been there before. Like, again, because I didn't know downtown that well yet. And they needed an actor, and Trent explained it to me. I remember him. He's like, oh yeah, snaps his finger, you there. And I like show him like, okay, what do you want me to say? Because so totally like marionette, like sit there, take this bottle of ketchup, eat the bottle of ketchup. Actually happened, and there's footage of me doing it.
You ate the bottle?
Yeah, that was the direction. So Bill Allred from X96, he was in this movie called Delightful Water Universe. Check it out. Get a hold of it somehow. I'm pretty sure Trent has it on YouTube somewhere. But Bill Allred's like sitting there at a coffee shop, like meeting somebody, and he's like staring like very enigmatically at somewhere, like something fucking weird is happening.
Yeah.
And then a camera cuts to me, and I'm literally downing a bottle of Heinz, actually eating it.
Oh.
And so like did it like 3 takes, and it was disgusting. I hated it.
3 takes?
Did like 3 takes.
Did you eat the whole bottle every time?
Every time.
You ate 3 bottles.
Dude, I was like a young actor. I was like, I'll do anything you want, man. I'll do. You say jump, I'll say how high. And
this sounds like some Fear Factor shit, man.
It was ketchup. It wasn't like Dijon mustard or anything. But anyway, I do it. It was like 30 minutes out of my time.
Yeah.
Go home, throw up, never hear about it again. And so like when you say like, oh yeah, I got an actor friend, I was like, yeah, I ingested about 3 gallons of ketchup yesterday.
Yeah, the devil's in the details on that one.
Yeah, you don't need to tell social media that one.
The details are just ketchup. That's a lot of details.
I think like I credited in that movie as like ketchup hooligan. I think if I remember, because I watched it with Christina one day, just to see, because fun fact, because I ran into Trent Harris like 4 years later. Didn't remember me, and I've been with Christina at this point.
Yeah.
And he never remembered me, like ever. But we drink at this same little bar in Salt Lake called Junior's, and I always see him like, I've been in that guy's movie.
I totally know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Trent Harris always wears like that weird hat, and
I thought that guy was trolling me the first time he talked to me. I was like, nah, whatever, dude.
He's kind of a glorious bastard.
And then I talked with him longer, and I was like, this guy's legit.
He's super cool, right?
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and I finally like go up to him. Like, I think I had a few in me where I got brave enough, and I was like, hey, Trent, how's it going, man? And he's like, who the hell are you? I'm like, you're not going to remember me, but I'm going to bring this up. Remember when you did that movie like 6 years ago, Delightful Water Universe, and you had that kid eat all that ketchup? And he's like, he sat there for like what seemed like 5 minutes thinking, like the beautiful mind, like equations were going up. And then finally he's like, oh yeah, I remember that kid. I'm like, because my hair was like down to here at this point, and like down like past my shoulders, and he was like, I totally remember that guy. I'm like, yeah, that was me. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I somehow through the grapevine, I like heard he cut it out of the movie.
Oh jeez.
And I was like, did you cut that out of the movie? He's like, no, man, it's still in there. And the guy is such a good fucking dude. 2 days later, I'm there drinking after a shift at Squatters. He shows up with a copy of the DVD, and hands it to me. He's like, look yourself up.
Look yourself up?
Yeah.
What a weird life if you forget, like, forcing somebody to eat a bunch of ketchup. Like, how did, like, on the ranking of memories, like, that's on the cutting floor?
I mean,
of his memories, not the cutting of the film floor, but, what was above that?
I don't know. I mean, if you watch some of his films, there's some weird shit in his films, but...
I'm gonna have to give him a watch. This sounds pretty cool.
His movies are great. They're fun.
Yeah. So you're doing the acting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're my actor, bro. And then you kind of pivoted into like other creative stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact like
timeline. I would say about
timeline or like the reasoning for transition.
Well, so I do improv. I do improv at this theater called the Off-Broadway Theater, and improv is kind of like, it's always been like the most, because I've always worked a full-time job, and it was always the most easy way to go and entertain, and there's no rehearsal process. You just show up for an hour and a half each night and do your bit, and then you go.
It's the Call of Duty of acting.
Yeah. Well, but cooler.
Cooler. Okay, not Call of Duty as a pejorative, but drop in, drop out.
Yeah, drop in, drop out.
Just pop in, do your thing,
then leave. And so I was doing that stuff, and I started just seeing patterns with, especially getting into my late 20s and getting older, and just kind of learning how Utah theater culture works and how Utah film culture is. And I made a few short films. I made one called like Steve from Accounting versus the Shadow Dwellers with the Gibbs brothers. Those guys are dope. Independent film called Collide that I did with this guy named Grant Johnson. Love you, Grant, by the way. You're awesome. Where it made into like film festivals in the UK. And so I'll get like, it was weird.
What?
Yeah. So I did this film with my friend Andrea and my friends Becca and Grant and a whole slew of amazing cast and crew. And I did this film. It's a 13-minute... Oh, There's a siren outside. If you hear that, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's because these jokes are fire.
The jokes are fire. But I did it, and so I was working at Squatters Park City at that time. And so I would get like text messages like, hey, you just won Best Actor in the UK Film Festival. So apparently like I have like 4 or 5 trophies floating around Salt Lake that I haven't collected yet.
They don't pronounce the T's on the trophy. They're trophies.
Yeah, the trophies.
You come from the from your British trophies.
You won't get your trophy, you wanker. Yeah. So it was after like that, and then I produced a web series with my friend Andrea as well. And after that, like...
I think I saw some of that web series.
Yeah, and it was...
Like, just floating around. It was like
well, God, like, Andrea was just amazing at marketing it. Like, she was insane at marketing. Like,
yeah.
She would call podcasts for us to be on, and, like, the gumption of that girl was just amazing.
That's cool.
Much respect to her. She's in New York now doing awesome things. But I kind of had to take a step back and look at what I wanted to be creatively and what I wanted to do creatively, and I realized that I don't like, and this ties into like my childhood, I kind of have an authority problem. I don't like being told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like people presuming that I'm stupid by giving me orders. So it's kind of something I've always kind of struggled with or embraced, depending on how you want to look at it. But I moved into YouTube and gaming because I love video games and I love entertaining. And I kind of mixed them together, and I followed this channel called The Game Grumps, and essentially modeled my channel after them, and got a bunch of my homies like Justin, Dustin, Bo, and everything to do that channel, and super fun, but it's just super oversaturated. And the reasoning to go into that direction was there's the thing that if you live in Utah, if you like live in any other state, like there's like everybody's state's weird, but like whenever Christine and I travel to like either Seattle, California, or even Wyoming, there's not this like, and I'm sure that you can attest to this soft like suppression that's on this over the state. And you know what I'm talking about?
In or out.
Yeah. And that you just carry yourself differently when you're home. And then when I went to California or when I went to Seattle, we had to like, Christina and I, we had to like gear up a little bit because we're always just like worried, like, oh God, we don't want to offend people. You know, we don't do this, but everybody's just like laughing at us. Like, what the fuck's your problem, Utah?
Yeah.
And, so after I got back from from Seattle, that specific trip, that's when I was like, you know, I kind of want to make my own stuff without censorship and without anybody telling me what's okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
And so
you got out of the bubble and you're like, whoa, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, from inside the bubble with like my knowledge.
Yeah. And set my own stage and set my own rules. And if I get an email saying they don't like it, I'm like, okay, then you can unsubscribe. You know, it's very much like, it was kind of the biggest like fuck you to the culture that I could give, because I just got tired of it and I got tired of jumping through hoops. So I did that so I've been doing that for a long time. It's super small channel, but I was still like getting my creative rocks off of producing. That's how I started learning how to edit. That's how I started learning how to like use sound equipment. That's how I started learning like camera work. And so I kind of like learned through my own weird path through streaming and gaming. And I learned how to stream and which is actually kind of, it's harder than you think. Like there's just so much shit that can go wrong with it. And it was just fun. Like it kind of turned my brain on a little bit to like this thirst for knowledge aspect of life. Like I went from like being like, oh, I don't know how to do that, let's have somebody else do that, to like I see somebody doing something I don't know, I'd be like, teach me how to do that. Yeah,
it's like a bunch of funny feedback loops in there, because you're making it all, you're learning how to make it, and then you're watching other people make it, and they're teaching you how to make it, which also is like part of making it. Like it's this strange internal feedback thing that just grows. Yeah, and I'm definitely like I'm a huge believer. Like there's a term for this. I think we talked about this before. Like meditating on the knowledge that you've learned. Like, so I guess case in point, like when I learned how to snowboard 10 years ago, I could not carve. I couldn't do anything. And by the end of the season, like I still couldn't do anything. And then all summer, I had time to like think about it, meditate about it, think about it. And then we go up on our first chair and all of a sudden I'm carving, I'm doing spins, I'm doing tricks and everything. And like, I think that's applicable to pretty much every aspect of knowledge. I just watched all three Karate Kid movies last night, and he makes him do that. now you can sweep the leg. Well, yeah, because he's like, Miyagi's like, Daniel, I'm not going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do other stuff. And then it's basically, he was telling him how to meditate.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, now that you can wax the cars, he's like, I can block every punch.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about
Now you
learning
can
how to
paint the
block
fence,
punches.
yeah.
It was about how to meditate and like figure it out beforehand, and then just to use that tool.
Yeah.
And that's where you relate that to snowboarding and to streaming.
Yeah. And guitar and writing and everything about it, you know, and yeah. So creatively, like I think I'm in the best spot I could be creatively, because honestly, I have all this knowledge and that thirst for knowledge now. And I've kind of gotten over the whole, like, I have my idols growing up, like Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant, Dustin Hoffman, all the great actors. But now I've kind of gotten past that like hero worship aspect of it. And now, like, I go by this new mantra of like, don't try to be as good as your heroes. Try and be better than your heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
So what did streaming like very specifically offer you as a creative outlet compared to what you were essentially broadcasting through your theater and improv work?
As far as like creatively with streaming,
was it more of the actual like act of doing it, or was it the act of like streaming it? Was the act of like streaming it, or was the act of like being an actor inside of a stream? I think you can actually pull a little bit of both from those. I think more from the latter, because I got a huge amount of pleasure out of like getting my creative rocks off when you first do your first like technological thing that you thought you couldn't do as an actor, and you're like, aha! Mm. And then being an actor in the stream, and like and when I'm in the stream, I stream mostly like me playing video games and Let's Plays, and so I would do that, and and the cool thing, like I actually between streams and Let's Plays, like I like streams a lot better when it's actually happening, because you can interact with your audience, you can chat with them, and it's like building that community. You feel like there's that connection with the audience, like that you would get in a theater. Let's Plays is a bit more interesting because like you'll tell a joke with your homie, you don't know if the joke's funny or not, and then you go back and editing, it's like, okay, that was pretty funny, or like, oh god, what was I thinking, you know? And but the interaction with that, like there's this, like I got an email from this kid who we would get probably like on a stream like maybe 200 hits on a stream, which is not big, but it was big enough to be like, oh cool, man, 200 people had eyes on this. And then we get emails saying like, dude, I watch your streams all the time and you get me through the day. And then like, okay, if I get at least one email that says that through the entirety that I've been doing this, then it's been totally worth it. Yeah That sounds cool. Yeah, man. I'm going to get my stream up one of these days. Yeah, we got to get that going for you. I will, eventually. I'll mod it for you. Yeah. I just want it to be goofy. Oh, it will be. I'm sure. I don't think it's going to be a choice. It's always... Well, you're a goofy guy. I got that. I embrace it. Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. You're an enigma. Yeah. So a lot of the streaming stuff that you've done has been pretty gaming centric. Yeah. It's been mostly gaming, all gaming. Pretty much all gaming. There's a few things that we did that. I mean, a lot of like I would say my channel is maybe 20% streaming and 80% Let's Play. But Let's Plays are just easier to make, especially since we wanted to stick to a consistent upload schedule. But you would get discouraged because with Let's Plays, because you'd upload it, you get 12 hits, and you're like, oh, well, I just spent an hour and a half editing that, and then another hour at playing this game and giving commentary, and you thought you would get this episode that you edit together that's fucking dope, and you were like, oh, this edit's funny, people are gonna laugh, and then 12 people see it, and you're like, oh, well, YouTube's fucking me on the algorithm, so... You should have just spent the 1 hour playing the game on stream. Yeah. Building 200 eyes see it instead of the 12. And build your community that way and everything. And while editing's fun and putting like a little funny edits is dope, and I wish it could be that, but YouTube's changed. So you gotta get it on your bike with one of your best homies and rate bridges. Yeah. Epic content right there. there's so many YouTubers that like in the past few years who've like straight up pinned their help me video on the top of their channel of like, I used to make money doing this. Now you have to support me on Patreon or I can't make these videos anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so like, cause I mean, maybe it's just because of the size of channel that I gravitate toward. It's like dudes that I thought were doing great, you know, like I'd see their videos and they're like, you know, somewhere between 50 and 500,000 views.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, they're living it up.
Yeah.
And then you'd see that they're like, I don't have enough money to buy games.
Yeah.
I rate games and I can't buy the games.
Yeah. So there's this thing that happened about 3 years ago called the Adpocalypse, where the ads that YouTube plugs into the videos, a lot of them started choosing what was appropriate and what wasn't appropriate. And the gaming world actually took a huge fucking hit. Like a huge ridiculous hit that like a lot of that's why you see like a lot of YouTubers going out and doing like live streams now, or no, like live shows to help with their revenue.
Yeah.
But the Adpocalypse happened, and
because of violence or because of titties,
swearing was a big deal for people. Like, and I'm probably like misquoting this 100%. So if like if anybody knows more about this than me, please feel free to put it in comments or send us an email at zackandpete801@gmail.com. But the biggest thing I took from it is like a lot of Let's Players, they would swear in it and everything. They were
just themselves.
Yeah, they were just being themselves, which was a real bummer to me because the whole reason I started is like, well, I like to have this channel where I can say Jesus titty fucking Christ if I want to, you know, and
chicken fucker,
bag of dicks, you know. It's and so that's what happened. That's when probably you started seeing like a lot of the YouTubers you follow being like, help me, please. And Patreon started being a thing, and I think a lot of traffic has started to head to Twitch now. So I think Twitch is kind of like where everybody's going.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Yeah,
I haven't studied that fully. I'm actually getting ready. Most of the streams that I decide to do are probably just going to be on Twitch now. But I'm in a weird limbo spot right now with my job and everything. So
I've seen that migration.
Yeah.
So with your channel, most of your streaming being game oriented, what did like you chose gaming because you're comfortable with it. That's obviously been like a part of your life.
Yeah.
Like, how long has it been a part of your life? And what are the things that it's done for you?
Oh God. Comfortable with it, love it. 29 years now. The first game I played was Bionic Commando on regular Nintendo. Yeah. That game's fucking dope. And
the remake was sick too.
I didn't play the remake.
On Xbox?
I didn't play
Xbox
it.
360 or maybe the original Xbox.
I got to get a hold of it. I didn't play it though, but my uncle had a
I think it's basically the same.
Pretty much, except there's a Y-axis now on it now. You know, it's because the original Bionic Commando was a side scroller.
It was the remake was a side scroller.
What? I thought it was like an open world.
3D one, and then there was like a one. I think it was on like Xbox Live on like, it was like an XBLA game.
No shit.
On like Xbox 360.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Dude, I played the shit out of that game.
Oh hell yeah! But yeah, that was my first game.
Right.
My uncle got me obsessed with because he would bring his Nintendo over back when we lived in Arizona, and we would play Bionic Commando was the first one, and then the Super Nintendo came out, and I think I started really heavily getting into gaming like at age 7 or 8 because games like Final Fantasy would come out, Chrono Trigger, which is my favorite game of all time, came out, and I played with like my best friend Corby at a young age, and then we just started like he was like my first gaming brother, you know, and then and it just kind of what game nostalgia is the first thing that everybody goes to with gaming.
Yeah.
The feel goods, you know, the good feelings and everything.
Yeah.
With I always thought like there's a point in time where I wanted to be a game designer, but I did that for a full year. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a game designer. And then I discovered I was horribly awful at math. And That was like the biggest thing that they said, like, you got to be good at math. And like, I'm like deer in headlights. I've gotten better now because I've gotten into like code and everything, but
there's a lot of math too.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
yeah.
PHP is a ton of math, bro.
Oh yeah. That's why I've been getting stuck a few times, but I'm getting better at it. But that was the whole point, like earlier in the podcast when I said, like, I didn't have that, like, teach me how to do that like, I want knowledge aspect. I was a bright kid.
Yep.
I was more of a reader. Like, I like history and stories and stuff, but math is just kind of the thing. I was like, fuck math, I'm not going to learn that.
That's fair.
But so I like games have just all, like, if there's one thing that, if in a practical sense that gaming's helped me out, I would say that dude, my problem solving skills are through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
I
feel that too, man.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like I don't know, playing all those puzzle RPGs would just
all the time at work, completely unrelated to games. You can tell which of the workers in the restaurant have played a lot of games on just like solving like just basic problems of like staffing situations, like customer kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All sorts of situations of like, you know, where to seat people. There's like, it's literally Tetris.
Seating people in a restaurant is Tetris.
It's literally Tetris. Yeah. And you can always tell. You can tell who's played a lot of games and who hasn't played at all.
Well, and that just makes me like think of which fuck these people and fuck them who think it, like the whole video games and violence thing. Like, yeah, like I am a huge fighter against that because I think games have done nothing but it's given me focus. It's giving me like good habits, like on it. Like I obviously, like, there were people who like play just way too much. I get that, but like I always just kind of had a disciplinary thing where I'm like, yeah, today's a 6-hour session. I'm like, oh, I got to get shit done today, or today's this session. But I think it's taught me as far as like problem solving. It gave me like, God, at least I'm not slamming tar in my arms and spending my money on drugs.
Yeah.
And I had developed a fucking awesome hobby.
Yeah.
And I have the most stellar fucking wife to let me keep doing it. Like, Christina has been amazing. You've seen my office at home.
Yeah, dude, it's real.
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
It's way cool. There's a perfect argument against the video games cause violence.
I'd love to hear it.
It's really simple. It's like, look how many school shootings are in America. Look how many school shootings are in Australia. They got the same games.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of people.
I mean,
not that's not the same amount, but I mean, like, if you look at the similar densely populated areas, those guys have like
they also have
harsh gun laws.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're all playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like they only broadcast Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And Grand Theft Auto in America. Those guys play it too, but no, they're immune to it. They're immune to the brainwashing.
Yeah, to the brainwashing of games. It's like, God.
Those data points just don't correlate. They just want to blame it on something.
Yeah, and then video games are easy to target, and
they're way easy to target because it's like you can literally through a screen, like, you know, solicit a hooker.
Yeah.
And then literally 10 seconds later, you can go shoot a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I can see how you would relate that if you don't know the culture one bit.
I understand that, but I think that's them just shifting the blame from bad parenting, you know. And when I see a shitty kid, like, I guess this is a good segue into restaurant stories, I guess, if we wanted to do that.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
When I see a shitty kid, like at the restaurant, back when I was still working in restaurants, when I see like a little shithead, you know, screaming his ass off, being rude, I don't blame the kid. I blame their weak ass parents. Like it's.
I did it a few days ago.
Oh really?
Straight up, I took one of my headphones out, and I was like, "Be a better parent." And then I put it back in and kept walking. But the kid was at it was the frozen aisle. I was like walking by the frozen aisle getting some ice cream.
Screaming bloody murder.
And no, the kid was grabbing and throwing a bunch of frozen stuff out from the thing.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that's all bad now.
Yeah, they can't sell that, especially going on now with the wonderful virus kicking around. And
seriously, and like, okay, kids have bad days. You got to handle them.
Yeah.
But this lady was on her phone, texting.
Yeah.
And I looked at her phone because it's like kind of quick. She was scrolling Instagram.
Yeah. She's an influencer, man. She's got to get those pics of those green beans.
She wasn't looking at a recipe or like calling or texting. She was scrolling Instagram while her child literally, like, I saw the kid take out 20 things, and I'm like, I gotta say something. They're strangers. It doesn't affect my life.
Well, she's not gonna run after you. And
I just like, be a better parent. And I just kept on going.
So weak parents, man. Like, fuck off, be better parents. My mom had me at 17, and she was a fucking awesome mom. If she can do it, you can do it.
It's willpower.
Yeah.
It's straight up willpower.
Yeah.
Wait, can we pause? I want more coffee.
Let's pause.
Yeah, let's pause. I want more coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
What is that reference again? It's Seinfeld. These pretzels.
Yeah, I don't even know where it's from anymore. I haven't seen the episode in years, but I just remember that stupid line. And I think it is a movie, or it's an episode about the dumb line.
They also make a reference in Borderlands 2.
They're referencing Seinfeld.
They're totally referencing Seinfeld. Oh, these pretzels are awful. Oh man. So be better parents.
Yeah, be better parents.
For the sake of all us single people, or not single, kidless people.
Not even the sake of us, just everybody.
Everybody in general, yeah. It's just be better parents. It's not that hard. Coming from the guy who doesn't have a kid.
The formative years of you led to some awesome stuff. You are now a good person.
Yeah.
Imagine if those formative years were like, if you were the kid and you're still 16 throwing ice cream across the aisle.
Yeah.
Because nobody said it.
Yeah.
Be a better parent.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had my mom, all three of my dads, and my grandpa being like, don't be a little shit.
Yeah. Dude, I see that happen so often in every single restaurant I've ever worked in. I've seen just like appalling bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
It really makes you hate the public.
Oh, but every time
you have to do your best not to.
But in the turn, every time like I see a parent, like make them say thank you, make them say please, make them look up from their fucking phones.
Yeah.
Like they get a 25% discount because it's 25%. Thank you for being good parents. You know.
Come back next week. We'll pay you.
We'll pay you. We'll babysit for you.
We'll reverse discount it.
Yeah. I guess so. Restaurant stories.
Lay some of the wackiness. Do you have any that like spring to mind?
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, I got a few of them.
Everybody has them. I mean, there's a subreddit. Have you seen the subreddit?
I think I'm on the subreddit.
There's like
server shenanigans or server stories.
Horror stories. I can't remember the name of it.
I mean, so my angle on restaurants changed when I stopped caring about my tips. Because I used to be a very angry guy. I'm still very like it's in my blood, my grandpa's blood. Like, we're just angry people. And so for the first few years, I had rage issues. And then when I stopped caring about what my tips were table to table, my attitude towards restaurants changed.
That's good.
So whenever I had like a shitty customer, I stopped being like, oh, fuck table 9. Oh, fuck table 8. I started just fucking with them.
Yeah.
And, but like when my early years, I do have a story from my early years. I made a member of the LGBTQ community cry by accident.
Ooh.
It was not my fault. I love the LGBTQ community. I'm an ally, but this happened when I was 23. I was a brand new server. I was very bad at trays, and the man who was talking had very wavy hands.
Wow.
So it was during it was the second year there, my second year there, and it was Pride weekend, and there was
a wild weekend of squatters.
Dude, it's in Sunday brunch. I'm a green server. Like, I've cried in the walk-in like 5 times at that point. And and this 12 top, this table 12 of gay men were having a good time, and they were really chill. I fucking loved them. I was like, you guys having a good time? Like, they were paying my bills. They were making my rent that day.
Yeah.
And split checks, obviously. All of them were drinking those fucking $2 mimosas that they served. And I made a system to split it up, and I was doing really good at keep them all of them split. They all split individually.
Yeah.
And I figured that out. And so they ordered another round, 12 of them. I had 12 mimosas on my tray. And the guy at the head of the table is a 12 top this long. The guy at the head of the table is telling a story. And the guy to the direct left of him had a very nice shirt on. Like, very nice, like Versace shirt.
Going.
Yeah. The guy, as I'm dropping the first drink, he, like, in his story, does this. Like, I'm doing a sweeping motion with my left hand, sweeps all of the mimosas all over this one dude. and it was just like, I am so sorry. Like this, like it's like reaction, like I'm so sorry, like because you're the server, you're taking all the blame.
Yeah.
And like, is there anything? I'm getting towels, like trying to fix the problem, and the guy starts weeping in his chair, just full on weeping.
The hitter of the mimosas or the receiver?
The receiver of the mimosas.
Ooh.
I felt so horrible. It wasn't my fault, but I just felt really bad because I'm like,
yeah,
I was like super empathetic about it. I'm like, I'm sorry, man, and I knew the shirt was expensive.
Yeah,
and probably ruined
Everybody
it.
gets dressed up for the
pride,
Pride's a big deal.
Or dressed down.
Salt Lake Pride is a big deal.
Yeah, especially in this state.
And Squatters is like a hub for it.
Yeah,
so it's like gay, it's LGBTQ royalty.
Yeah, and yeah, because Squatters fucking loves it. Like they eat it all up. They broadcast the hell out of it. So I take the autograd off because I felt bad.
Sure.
I take it off. I'm like, hey guys, I'm sorry. The guy wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
Blamed me directly, and I was just like, okay. Everybody tipped like super rad. After that, he did not tip me, and I still feel bad about it. I'm sorry, dude, if you're out there and listening to this, but Versace dude, sorry. I wasn't in a position to clean your shirt.
Yeah,
that's rough. Yeah, that was like a negative one. I guess if I wanted to edit on a positive one,
or funny one, or
a funny one,
like absurdism.
I'm trying to think. There's just so many of them. I would say there was this is a positive one. Just because I worked in Park City, I think it's very appropriate to. I'll bring up like a celebrity story.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunday brunches at Squatters during Sundance in Park City. The owner and CEO at the time said being behind the bar or on the expo line at Sunday brunch at Squatters in Park City is the worst place to be in the company on any given day. And I was on it every time. And so I'm just getting I'm like the head bartender at that point. I graduated. Like I have years and years under my belt. And so I'm a bit more stoic about my position. And I'm experienced at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm like puking out mimosas, Bloody Marys, cocktails and everything. And you remember the hot teas?
Oh.
And you probably still have hot teas at Desert Brewery or the brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in a while.
But so
they suck.
This one jackass, while we're balls to the wall, orders a hot tea, and you got to get the fucking pot, and then you bring the whole box out because the owner was all weird about you presenting it and everything, even though I had all the teas memorized.
That was a weird thing.
You remember, right?
It's the hot teas and owners.
It's weird.
No one talks about it.
Yeah, so like I'm like literally just mumbling, like, and I just didn't care. I'm like, here's a fucking hot tea, and then drop it on there, and then I pull it up and I'm like, which one do you want? And I'm like, my head's down because I had my ball cap on because I had this technique where to hide people from making eye contact with me because they fucking eye hunt you. They look for get your eye contact, and so I kept my head down. And I closed. He's like, I'll take the mint tea, and I grab the mint tea, and I look up. It's fucking Steven Spielberg. And I'm just like, I literally shit myself. Not literally. I almost shit myself.
Oh, yeah.
I turned white as a ghost, and then like I've never felt like a behavior mode change as that. And I know it's like, it's a fucking celebrity, whatever. You shouldn't, but it's Steven Spielberg, man. And
there's celebrities, and then there's also
gods.
Steven Spielberg.
There's Steven Spielberg.
There's just a few that are way
up there. Yeah, and it's like, oh, hello, my child. Hello. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Hello, Jurassic Park. Hello, Poltergeist.
Oh, I know.
And
speaking of formative years,
that's
the guy.
That's the guy right there. And after that, and I was totally nice to him, and he was fucking rad after that. And he realized I was busy, and he was.
I've heard good stories. He doesn't seem like one of those.
He humored the hell out of me. I normally don't like make a big deal to see celebrities, but him, I was like, hey man, you. And then I made a joke where I would get a copy. This is a running joke that I did because this happened after the Steven Spielberg moment. There's a random phrase that you always hear, like, I'm in a hurry, I have a film. And so you'd hear that all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I would do is I would go like make copies of the shitty short films that I've made. And so I had a stack of them behind me at the bar at Squatters. So they'd be like, I'm in a hurry, I have a film. I'm in a hurry too. Here's my film. And I'd leave it there, and some of them would actually pick it up.
Really?
Yeah. It was awesome.
That's pretty funny.
But anyway, yeah, that's a positive one. I think that's a positive one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's more, but we can make an entire podcast on restaurant stories if we wanted to.
Well, I'm sure.
But those are two of the ones that resonate with me.
Yeah. Anytime you spend like extended hours in this like confined space,
One room.
you deep dive into like the really bizarre shit that goes down. You see it all.
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours a day for 4 or 5 days a week.
Oh yeah, 5 or 6 hours.
Of course you're gonna see weird shit.
Pure communication with strangers.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. And I think everybody should try working at a restaurant at least once, because you'll have either the greatest time of your life and or the best time and the worst time of your life.
It's like a sampler platter of
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, you get the bad cheeses,
Yeah.
the good cheeses.
Mm.
Craft singles on this, of course.
All sorts.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. So, do you want to drop anything else? Any nuggets of info for our first little podcast?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we're going at it, and it's super fun. Like, I didn't realize it'd be this fun, actually.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. No, definitely follow us on social media.
Yeah.
Zach and Pete, it's super easy. ZACH on the Zach. Zach and Pete on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know how we got those handles.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but there's not another Zach
We
and
don't
Pete.
need any numbers.
Yeah, we didn't need numbers.
We're original.
Yeah, we have a Facebook too. Check us out. Check out our YouTube channel. We got 2 videos as of the making of this podcast. Expect
A lot
more.
of good ones to come too.
Yeah, of course. And also, if you sat through this entire podcast as well, check out the one where I interview Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Funny.
I think that's good on that.
Cool.
Well,
Good job.
thanks, man. You too.
Yeah.
Well, see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love that, yeah, don't you?
I really do.